week 35. I think week 35, yeah. And then when we counted, well, it might be sooner because hear me out, girl. All right, since last video, last Sunday, today's Sunday. Today is Sunday the 11th, 2026. I went in on Monday, and mind you, this is the first week back since making my affirmative decision. And I told my boss. I told my boss we had a team meeting at like 9 or 9:30 in the morning, and right after it, I think it lasted for about an hour. During the conversations in the meeting, they talked about the changes that are going to be going on at the school, how my room is getting shut down, and I don't know, all this stuff that was just, they talked about 28 kids being in each one of the classrooms and only two teachers. And I was like, thank you, Spirit. That is my sign. I am exit stage left. Even though I already knew it kind of in my gut, I it was affirmed the moment that I was in that meeting. And so right after that meeting, um, actually before that meeting was over, I asked the question of where are we supposed to be going? And she said, the owner will be contacting you. And you guys are going to, they're gonna, I guess, shift our position or something like that. Anyways, I mainly asked that question for my assistant. My assistant wants to stay at the school. She loves the environment. She loves it. I've been there 3.5 years, I think it is, by the time I leave. Almost 4. And Decore's outgrown the school. I've outgrown the school. It's time to move. Anyways, right after that meeting, I went in and said, hey, can I get your ear for a minute? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I said, I will not be returning next school year. And and I said, I'm about 95% sure that I will not be returning next school year. And I said, the other teacher talked about, we run a summer camp program, and she talked about returning or not being there over the summer. And I just told my boss, I said, originally I thought she wasn't going to be there, so I would be able to be there, which is, it's fine and dandy. Um, but I will essentially be done at the end of May. And she said, well, I should know something by February about summer camp if I'll be able to work summer camp. But as the week progressed, it was clear they're not going to let me work summer camp, which, I mean, it sucks because I will have to have some kind of source of income coming in. I am not paid over the summer. It's a private school. We have to work over the summer. But I'm thinking about now launching like a summer camp program to kind of like those kids that will be signing up for my program to launch like a 4-week summer camp program. We'll see. But anyways, um, that was on Monday, and I said, listen, my assistant, um, I don't want to mention her name just in case something happens one day or whatever. But anyways, I just said she really likes it here and she really wants to stay, and she's kind of fearful of losing her job because of the classroom and the changes in the. And I said, but you can let the owners know that I will not be returning. And she asked me what I would be doing, and I said I'm gonna open up my own thing. I'm doing my own homeschooling program. And she said, you've talked about that. I have been talking about doing my own school since I told you to since I said Corey was like a year old. When I came to this school, it was out of fear and money that we needed it right here, right now. Well, girl, your time is now. I can't wait to look back on this as my future self because you're going to keep going and you're going to do it and you're going to look back on these videos and be like, oh my God, look at you. Oh, when I left that office, it was the biggest weight off my shoulders. There was a pep in my step. I felt good. There is no feeling than knowing that you don't align with a school and not being able to find a school that you feel like you can align with and building that school. It's scary, it's exciting, but more than anything, let's just say nothing aligns at the end of the day, girl. Like nothing ever did. The way that you feel right now, it's like ecstasy. It's like liberating. It's no matter what, and this is what I truly believe. If you are passionate about something, it's not just a job. And you have to 100% align with the community, their beliefs, the owner, everything, or else it's just not going to feel right. And I admire the school that I worked at. I loved it for the time being that I did. But change is inevitable. Change is good for them, change is good for me. And change, a lot of change has happened within the school. And not bad, it's good. It's in a perfect alignment for them, but it's not in alignment for me. Do you understand? And I am so aware of myself and so aware of this that it is okay. It is beautiful. And it's just me finding where my alignment next is and where my people are. Do you understand? And girl, you're going to find it. I just know it. I know it in my soul. I know it and I feel it. And it just has to happen. All right. So that happened on Monday. On Tuesday, we went to work. We got in full swing. On Wednesday, my boss called me in and she said, hey, I'm going to start having parents ask me, are you 100% sure you're not coming back? And I, without a doubt, smiled and I said, I'm not coming back. And it felt good. I said, I'm gonna work the rest of the school year. I'm here for you and these kids and everything. But this shift has to happen. And it felt good. There's one parent that we do play dates with Corey, and that she was my first parent that I told because she happened to be picking up her daughter later for extracurricular on Wednesday. And I said, girl, I did it. And she said, what? And I said, I let them know that I'm not coming back. And she said, "Nuh-uh." And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "I'm building my own school." She goes, "Oh my God, I am so happy for you." Now, this is a parent that wanted her daughter to come with me. And I said, "Here's the thing though, I'm building the school where I live." Now, where I work and where I live, so in Florida, it's two totally different areas. Even though it's semi in the same kind of West Pasco County, it's about 30 to 35 minutes from each other. Where I want to build a school is the opposite side. And I've shared this with you, girl. You already know. She was a little upset, but happy for me. She said, I wish she'd build it over here. I said, I know. She said, where are you getting it? And I said, I got a connection at a church on 52 in Little in Newport Richey in Florida. And I said, would I like to have my own facility? Yes. Would I like to have my own space? Yes, 100%. But as of right now, the church has like 3 or 4 different classrooms, so I can expand and I can grow. And the guy is so willing to just like, he doesn't care. The church isn't being used. And he's not worried about renting it out. So it's there for me. 6, 8 months down the road, like I still have a while. So for me, that's a place that we can grow and then get my own place. And she said, it makes perfect sense. And I said, not only that, but my people are over there. I said, there is no private schools. And if they are, they're a good 30 minutes, 15, 20 minutes away. And they're charging astronomical prices that my peeps can't afford. I want to keep our tuition at the 8,000, 10,000 range. So that's 800 to 10 to $1,000 a month. Most of these schools are charging $1,400 a month. I mean, that's just when I look at the demographics in this area, this reminds me of where I grew up in low income, not shouldn't say low income, middle class people, okay? That yeah, they want their kids to go to a nice school, but the cost of living and freaking groceries and rent and mortgages and everything, it keeps keeping us in this bucket, girl, right? Those are my people. That's the ones that I want to build the school for. So, where my current school is, girl, you already know, there ain't no house over there for less than $500,000. Okay? Would it be easy for you to build your school over there? You know it. But your heart is somewhere else. And I promise you that if you keep following your heart, it's going to happen. I don't know when, but I know it's going to happen. I've had fear because I have built or tried to build a couple businesses because I had this vision. And you remember, girl, back in 2012, and I was the head of a big, not huge, but like company, like this beautiful, like at the time I was in the nonprofit field, so I thought it was a nonprofit. But I've always felt like I owned or started or did something. So I've been trying since 2012. God, I could cry. I've started a couple businesses. One was a spiritual business. It's called Awaken Connect. And I built this whole online presence and community and everything, and it just never took off. And if something is pushing against you, it's not right for you. It should easily glide and align, and that's truly what I believe. After 3 years of thinking it's just gonna click, I finally just stopped trying. I even recently, this is what, 10 years later? Shoot, 10, 12 years later. Finally got rid of the domain name. That was the final chord for me. I still have some memorabilia. Anyways, from there, I was trying to build a self-help kind of reprogramming our mental thought. So now this is the third attempt at building a business. So I've had some fear come up. Worry. Because both of those, I had so much excitement. I just knew. I knew how I could do it, what I could do, and neither one just seemed to click. So recently, this week 35, I've been doing mindset shifts. Not allowing the past and where those went to control my spirit, my mind, and where this is going. It's been hard. I've been listening to YouTube things, motivational things, looking at books to for the mind shift. And it's not even maybe a little imposter syndrome, but it's not really imposter syndrome because I know I can do it. I know I can lead these kids. I know I can start this business. For me, it's the past failures that didn't align. And if you put so much energy and heart and soul into businesses and they don't work out, it's hard because you feel it. You feel That's weird. The computer completely just like cut out and went to this like sanctuary water looking thing. That's so weird. Anyways, it's not weird. It's spirit. It's alignment. It's relaxing, calming your nerve system, girl. Because this is different. Anyways, oh, positive note. All right, what happened? So I told her that I was doing it. You guys, girl, stuff is shifting. So I told her on Wednesday. On Wednesday, whenever my boss said, "Hey, I know parents are going to start asking, and they already have been, like shifts and changes. Is it affirmative?" And I said, "It is affirmative." And I said, "It feels good." The first family I wanted to call was this family that the mother had pulled me aside and said, "Hey, all these changes are going, and we want to be with you." Like, and I said, "Well, I might be starting my own thing." And she said, "Well, we're going with you." Um, the first thing I wanted to do was to call that family. So Wednesday night, I didn't. I went home and had family time. Thursday, I got the phone number and I texted her and I said, "Hey, if you get a chance, I'd like to jump on a call." So I jumped on a call with her and explained, "Hey, I'm kind of taking control of my own destiny. A lot of stuff has been in limbo, whether or not the company was going to keep me, whether or not they or where they were going to put me or where they were going to find a space for me." And I said, "I've kind of just taken control of my own life." And I told TMS, I told the school that I'm leaving. And she said, "Well, that's good." She was like, I said, "It's just liberating. It feels like a ton of bricks." She goes, "I can imagine." And I said, "However, I just want to let you know that I'm building a school, but it's not going to be over in that area." And she said, "Okay." I said, "It's going to be, I live in Hudson, Florida." I said, "It's going to be over where I live." And I said, "It's just an area that I feel drawn to do it." And she said, "Look, at the end of the day, me, her son has got to go through changes. So he's got to experience change at some point in his life." And um, we just talked about it. And she was very happy for me. And she said, Tori is extremely lucky. And I said, "I just wanted to make sure before you found out through the grapevine or any of that, like that I called you first." And she said, "No, I really appreciate it." Girl, it didn't take long. So that was Thursday. Friday afternoon, I was getting ready to leave work, and this other parents, they both came in to watch their son play soccer. This video is getting long, girl. You might have to fast forward some of it when you go back to watch it, but I still want to document the process. And I was sitting at the table. Her husband comes up to me and says, "Hey, Misty, we would like to get your ear for a minute and talk a couple things." And I said, "Okay," about their son. And so I sit down, and then they were asking about, him, and said, "Hey, I don't know if we're supposed to know this, but," the girl that I told on Wednesday seen us and told us that you're no longer going to be here. I said, wow, news traveled fast. I kind of knew this, like parents talk. I get it. And I've been a part of these kids' life for some of them 3 years, you know? Yeah, because I knew them when they were even in the other classroom. But anyways, and some of them I went to their birthday parties when they were like few years ago because Corey's the same age as them. So he was in their 2-year-old classroom. Anyways, um, and I explained the whole situation to her about taking faith in my own hands and explained like what I'm doing and my plans and all that. And we talked about their son. Um, and I told her that I still want to stay in touch. And she goes, yeah, actually, she was like, we're already planning her son's summer birthday. So it'll be nice because I'll still be in contact with some of these parents that I built really strong relationships with. And I was really concerned about leaving. I'm not gonna lie, like, and in this limbo state about whether or not I should build it over there or where my heart is over this way. And so it felt good. It felt good. So goals that I set for myself this week 35. Um, I had said that I was going to call the county, and I did. I called the county. I left a message. I still haven't heard back. I'll try again this week. When I first got on there, the people were like, "Oh, it's these codes, da 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 da," and I said, "Yeah, I already see that on the computer. You can look that up." Okay. Um, and I said, "But what I'm trying to find out is if I can run it as a learning center versus a private school." So I did that. Another thing I did was on my list was to see if there's any curriculum that I could utilize that uses the private school funding in Florida versus the homeschooling funding. And most of the ones that I found charge the exact same thing that I'm going to charge because essentially it's for parents that are at home with their kids and they're doing like an online program. The other thing that I found out is that if I'm doing a private school, a child has to be there 180 days. And you have to keep documentation of that and like all these like red tape. I might have mentioned some of that in the last video. I don't remember, but at this point, I don't want to be a private school. Down the road, if I find out my area needs it and they are okay with it, as of right now, I don't want to be a private school. A child does not need 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day of education. If a parent wants to come get their kid out of the school for 1 or 2 days, I don't want to have to sit there. Oh, attendance is important. Like I passed this private school this week, and they were like, attendance is extremely important. Did like no, like it's literally on their billboard. Okay, no, why? Because the government says that a child needs to have X amount of hours. No, girl, you ain't playing those games. You're a rebel. You're going against them. Anyways, what are we? We're almost 30 minutes into the video. So what was the was there any of the other goals this week? I registered for a few more events. I filled out a couple more vendor things. Oh, I registered for a girls meetup group. Next Sunday, we're doing a vision board thing. So this week coming forward, which would be week 34, right? Counting down. Monday, I have a networking event, which I got some business cards. I printed them at Staples, and girl, you got them for free because they off-centered. Not that I complained. I just stood there, and actually, the girl that was checking me out, she was like, "That doesn't look right." And I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Why?" So let me see if I can. Not all of them, but some of them. are cut off like this. Like the little QR codes are cut off. And then some of them are spot on. So I would say about a quarter of them are spot on, and the three-quarters of them are okay. So I just got to go through. It's kind of whatever. She looked at the person who printed it and she's like, oh, I see why. So, anyways, the manager was called over. I ended up getting them for free. And then I had little banners placed. So on Monday, I'm taking these. So tomorrow, I have a networking event at some for the chamber. It's like some bar place or whatever, just like chamber members getting together. So I'm taking these. And it doesn't have my phone number, it doesn't have my email, it doesn't have anything. It's simply a QR code that takes to an interest form. So these will only be given to people. I'm not interested in people having my email, having my contact, having no. If you know somebody's interested, here's an interest form. They can fill it out because I used to work at a chamber. I know how they can get. They can get pretty people just collecting cards and not filling out. Mm, doing nice, girl. You got that good eyes. Remember this? You went to Chick-fil-A and got that ice. Anyways, so I have this. On Saturday, I have a tabling event. It's actually going to be in a Walmart Plaza right over here in town. Um, and they're doing just kind of a community New Year event. And this is the I don't know what you call these 6 foot signs that will be. So this is your 6 foot sign that'll be next to it. And then I have my tablecloth. And then I paid for a runner. A runner is cheaper. So the table covers. I got one that it was only like 12 bucks on Amazon. It's black, right? This angle is like terrible. Who cares, girl? Who cares? So got a runner. A runner is like a quarter of the price as a tablecloth. And so, mhm. So it'll go over the table. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put some like toys. I don't know if I want to put out toys that I actually like don't need anymore and just like sell them, like price them and like put some information about our school. Or if I want to put like magnetic tiles, things that we'll be using in the school. Keep you posted, girl, on what you did, but I don't know. Then I have a shirt, my first shirt that I'm wearing. So I'll wear these on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'm doing the girl event with the vision board stuff, and it is at another like restaurant thing or whatever. But I'll just take these, I think, for that because it's not really for that. It's more about me getting into that mindset, like I was saying, and manifesting my desires. So this week, this week's goals is to make sure I'm attending these events. Hands down, I have to attend them, all of them, because you don't know who you're going to meet, what you're going to do. Even the one that's on Saturday, girl, bless your soul, because it's a 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a long day. I probably should buy a tent for that or something. Bring something. A cooler. Yeah, it's a long day. Anyways, so making sure that I'm attending all the events and follow up with the county. Oh, I have a business meeting on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. And I edited my website. There was something else I needed to do. I'd like to get one child registered on the Prenda site. So I got Corey registered. I need to have one other kid registered in order to get access to their map and to be on their map. You know what? Another thing I could do too is I could this week, I could reach out to one of the local homeschooling programs that's powered by Brenda and see if I can come and watch them in action one day, like schedule it in advance. I reached out to this week, I reached out to it's like an indoor play place and asked about partnering up. And she said there's already homeschooling programs that come here. Because I was originally thinking maybe I would do it, and that's over in the Ritchie area. And I was thinking maybe I would start it there. But whenever she told me that they already have homeschooling programs, I was like, yeah, that's not my answer. That's not where I'm supposed to be. Oh my God. The house that I want, girl, it dropped $75,000, but it's still not in your budget. So we got to wait for that house to come down even more. And we got to get you some students. Oh, I printed postcards and I'm going to go around. When do I get those postcards? I think I get those postcards next week or this week. I want to go around and put those suckers on some cars, like at parks and stuff like that. But I don't think I get those this week. Anyways, all right, this video is turning into like 40 flipping minutes. So I'll definitely in the future, you will be fast forwarding a lot of this. But it kind of be cool to look back and take notes and I don't know. Who knows what the future holds? Maybe one day you'll be teaching girls to and teachers and women, stay-at-home moms. Maybe you'll be training stay-at-home moms to do this because you can make some money. All right, that's it. Peace out, girl.